Bonjour. So I hope that you all can hear me. Can somebody please confirm whether you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great. Okay. So hope you all are having a great evening today. So thank you for attending the webinar French webinar in Canada. So let's have a look at what we have.
Do you want to get PR in Canada? Learn French from a qualified teacher. French, TCF and TEF Canada. Rapid course 6 months. Exam guidance. DELF exams.
Okay, so whenever it's come for French, mainly there are two exams in Canada. That's called TEF and TCF. TEF and TCF. So test d'évaluation de français, it's one, and then test de connaissance du français, it's another one, that is TCF. If you talk about the, if you talk about the differences of these exams, the difference is it depends on the structure, scoring, and the intention of doing the exam. These are both, I mean, both of these exams are standardized French language proficiency test. So it like whenever you take the exam, it depends on what you need to take. Like the purpose of taking the exam will be depending on your purpose. So right, if you look at the differences in between these two exams, TEF and TCF, well, whenever it's come for TEF exams, the structure-wise, it's more in structures, and then whenever it's come for TCF, you will be having multiple questions and a broader focus on general language skills. So I will be talking about different skills later, and then how we have how the exams questions are given will be discussed soon, right? Well, there's something called CEFR levels. So globally, for a language, you need to have different level for your language. So basically, let's say A1, A2, B1, B2. Those are the levels whenever it's come for the languages. So to be qualified to be eligible for TEF, you need to have at least B2 level. Then TEF exam, that is mostly focused on Canadian citizenship, whereas TCF is for like a permanent residency. Well, yeah, those are some certain basically some certain difference in between these two exams. So we'll be talking about this in detail whenever we start the course. Well, maybe you might wonder which exam I should face. So as I mentioned before, TEF exam is mainly it's aiming on for the Canadian citizenship, and then TCF exam is for permanent residency in Canada. Right. Then, so there's something called CEFRL. Basically, those are the levels for a language. So if you are a beginner level, if you belong to the beginner level, that is A1, and that's basically basic user. So A2 is also, it's a basic user, but whenever it's come for intermediate, that is B1 and B2. So then if you reach the level of B2 level, then you become an independent user in French or in other language, like some other languages. So these are the CEFR levels, languages levels in French. So if you need to take TEF or TCF exams, if you need to pass the exam, you need to have at least B2 level to have a good grade and then to be eligible for the PR in Canada. Then, yeah, so I'm the one who is giving the instructions, and then I will be following the course. I'll be the instructor for this course. So just to give a background knowledge about me, I'm a qualified French teacher for more than a decade. So I did my languages BA in University of California. So I did French. Currently, I'm doing my PGD in the University of at the University of Colombo. So I was trained by Cambridge Assessment International Education in UK, and then currently I'm a member of Alliance Française de Côte. So basically, Colombo, that means it's a French center in Colombo. So I assume that you are already aware of that. So, well, apart from that, I'm a senior school French teacher in a world-class school currently, and this is the background about me. So, with the instructor. So I'll be offering courses and classes for TEF, TCF exam, apart from that for DELF. So for French, in Canada, the exams, the main exams are TEF and TCF, but there is something called DELF exams, where you have, again, it's language proficiency. So you might complete a DELF exam and you might get A1, A2, or B1, B2. So there's no much differences in the level, obviously. So, but whenever it's come for the TEF and TCF, it's the same level, but the exam structures are different whenever you compare with DELF exams. Well, how do you choose the exam? Maybe it's a bit confusing, or maybe you don't have any idea about what these exams are. So TCF and TEF French, mainly it depends on your purpose, and it depends on your strengths in language skills. So by the time you complete your course, then you will understand, okay, this is my purpose, and this is why I'm doing this course, and this is why I'm learning French. And then by the time whenever you complete when you complete your course, you will understand, okay, these kind of questions are really easy for me, and I'll be I can get good marks in these kind of questions. So depending on that, you will be able to decide whether you are going to do TCF or TEF exam. So the recognition, I mean, after you complete one exam, or whenever you go through the exam, it's valid for 2 years. But let's say, for example, if you apply if you do the exam, if you have one seat on this month, so you have to wait another 30 days to apply for the next exam. So you can do many times as much as possible if you wish to, but you can get through from one time as well. So, but if you're going to do it several times, obviously you need to wait for 1 month to do the exam again. As I told you, now this exam is the recognition and the results are valid for 2 years. Well, language. Whenever it's come for a language, we have different skills like listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So some might think, okay, I can only focus on grammar and reading, but if you want to be fluent in a language, you need to focus on all these skills. It's important to give a priority for all these skills, otherwise you won't be able to be fluent in a language. Now let's compare TEF and TCF exams. So if you compare this, for the exam now you have different components like this: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So in TEF exam, for the listening, even in TCF exam, you will be having MCQ. There will be 40 questions in TEF exam. Within 40 minutes, you need to complete that. Whereas in TCF exam, you will be having 39 questions. Within 35 minutes, you need to complete that. In both exams, the audio play will be played only once, and then you have to train this from the beginning to do the listening exams. I mean, otherwise, if you wait until the last moment to do the listening, it's not going to work. Then reading, in the same manner. So basically, it will be also MCQ. TEF exam, you will be having 40 questions. Within 60 minutes, you have to complete that 40 questions. There will be like small note or maybe like small pictures. You need to read the pictures and then do the comprehension. Basically, it's like comprehension. So MCQ, TCF, there you have only 39 questions. Within 60 minutes, you need to complete that. Well, if you talk about the writing, TEF writing, so you have section A and section B. You have 60 minutes for that. Even for the TCF exam, you have 60 minutes. In that one, you will be having 3 sections, like three tasks. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there will be 3 tasks in TCF exam, and then TEF exam, you will be having only 2 sections. Well, whenever it's come for these kind of questions, maybe like section A, you might get a news article, and then it's small kind of news article you need to read and then compare it and summarize. And then for the section B, you might get a short essay based on your point of view, like that. Then speaking, the time for both sections, I mean, for both exams is almost the same, 15 minutes and then 12 minutes. In the exam of speaking, you will be having TEF 1, you will be having 2 sections, section A and B. And then in the TCF 1, you will be having 3 tasks where you have to present yourself in French. You have to do like a monologue. It's something that you can get prepared in advance. You don't need to wait until the last moment. You can get prepared in advance and then do a speech of like about 1 to 2 minutes. It's a monologue. Well, yes, 2 minutes maximum. Then the task 2, you have to have like a small conversation with the examiner. They'll be giving you a question, and then you have to read the question and then do a small conversation. Where you have in the task 3, you have to do like it's like again a point of view. You are sharing a point of view about something, about the topic. So you will be given a question. You need to read that question and then share your idea and what you think about it. Well, overall, for the speaking exam, for the TIFF exam, it will be like 15 minutes. And then for the TCF exam, it will take about 12 minutes. Well, tips for success. Well, to be frank, you can't do a magic to be fluent in language. Obviously, you need to be consistent. There are so many things that you can do from the very beginning. But if you don't put your best effort, obviously, it's going to be challenging because learning a language is quite, it takes time. So, of course, you need to do, well, I will be sharing some certain things that you can do to have a successful journey. Well, if you pay attention only for 1 or 2 skills, it's not going to work. Sometimes we have seen that students, they do only grammar, sentences, writing, reading, but they kind of give a less attention for speaking, and maybe they don't have a partner to speak, or maybe they don't pay attention on listening skills. Well, all these skills are interconnected. So what you need to do is, from the beginning, you need to do listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Now you might wonder, how do I practice speaking? Yes, it's a good question if you think about it. Well, to practice speaking, you don't need to wait to have another partner, yes, but you can read something and you can think in French, or you can have a look at a dialogue, and then you can pretend that there are 2 people are talking. So you can practice speaking like that. So the other point, you need to understand the structure of the language. If you think in English and then if you try to translate from English to French, I'm sorry, it's not going to work. Basically, from one language to the other, you can't translate. The translations are not possible. Probably then there will be grammatical mistakes. There will be some errors. So first of all, you need to learn the structure of language. Like, let's say, for example, if I say, I'm going home, in your native language, if you say like, okay, just think in your native language right now, and then see, I'm going home. If you say it in your native language, but it would not be the same. I mean, the grammar part won't be the same. So expression would not be very clear if you translate from one language to other. So simply what I'm trying to say is, if you translate from English to French, that's not going to be successful. So at the beginning, from the very beginning, you need to understand, you need to learn the structure of the language, from simple sentences to complex sentences. And the other most important thing, you need to think in French. Well, as a beginner, it will be quite complicated, of course. Sometimes maybe there are people, those who even don't know the alphabet of French. In this course, we'll be teaching from the A to Z. So basically, like, we'll be teaching from the alphabet. So don't worry about it. But let's say that you spend your time like doing some other work at home, or maybe like you are traveling to work. While you go ahead, I mean, you need to think in French. So if you think more, then your brain, you will be able to register some certain structures in your brain by the time. Well, other most important point or the tip, try to get a speaking partner. This must be quite challenging, but from our course, we will be assigning a partner during the course. If you wish, you want to change the partner, you will be able to do that too. Apart from that, you can talk to people those who are already learning French, and then try to have like maybe like few minutes to practice your language. Try to practice your target language, which is French. But obviously, there are many resources available, and your commitment matters. You might say, okay, I don't have much resources. No, there are many resources which are available. What matters whether you put your best effort or not. That is the most important tip for successful journey. Well, revise and review. Now, whenever you learn in this journey, you need to learn. At the same time, you have to revise regularly. You need to be consistent in revising. And then review. Okay, this is what I have done, and this is what I should do. Like that, you need to review what you have been doing. As I told you like earlier, another point, now you don't need to, you should not translate from English to French when speaking. We have seen how the speakers, okay, whenever they speak, they try to think in English and then translate. Think in English and translate. So it takes a little bit of time for you to express. I would suggest you to not to think in English and then translate, but if you learn the simple sentences and if you learn simple terms, by the time, if you practice it, if you listen, if you repeat many times, by the time whenever you talk, you will be able to express yourself without any hesitation. Another point, consistency matters. Let's say that you work 1 week and then for another 2-3 weeks, if you don't work, obviously this is not going to be successful. Learn vocabulary daily, that's a must. No matter how many, no matter how much you know about the grammar or the sense and the structures, but if you don't have the vocabulary, then you will be able to, you will find a bit difficult to express yourself. So while learning grammar, while learning some certain structures of the language, you need to make sure that you need to ensure that you are learning vocabulary daily basis and then memorize. So memorizing the vocabulary is also another key point for your successful journey. Then there are many radio channels, and then you can listen to French radio channels. It's okay if you don't understand. Obviously, you might not understand a single word. That's totally fine. As a beginner, we would suggest you to listen to the radio as much as possible. Then automatically, by the time you don't, without your knowledge, You will learn the structures of the sentences, and you will be able to express yourself without any hesitation, because your brain is already identifying some certain patterns of the sentences, of some certain structures of the sentences. So maybe while you travel to work, maybe while you are working, maybe while you are cooking at home, you can listen to some songs, listen to some radio channels, and improve your language skills. Well, the last point will be something interesting, watching movies, but you need to make sure that you watch with the French titles, even if you don't understand a single word. Some people we have seen, whenever they learn, what they do is they watch the movie in English and then, sorry, they watch the movie in French and then they add subtitles in English. While they are watching the movie, they read the English subtitles, which is not practical and which is not effective at all. So what you need to do is watch the movie in French, at the same time add the subtitles in French. Even if you don't understand a word, a single word, you will learn the sounds and you will learn the spellings. Your brain you will be able to have the ability of connecting the action with the words and the pronunciation. If you take an example, if you imagine about a kid, an infant, how do they learn a language? Do they read? Do they write? Just think for a moment. If you have a kid of 2 years or 3 years old, do they write and read? No, they don't. By 2 years, almost 3 years, how can they speak? How can they express? So for a language, it's really important to listen and speak. I'm not saying the other two skills are not important, but if you listen more, if you speak, then you will be fluent. Listen and speak. Always try to connect the example of a kid, how a child is trying to learn a language. So thinking about that, you can give more priority for listening and speaking, or maybe equal priority for all the skills at the same time. Then let's talk about, yes, think in French. As I said earlier, it's important to think in French always. Let's say now, whenever we work, we might think of something like, okay, I'm planning to do this, blah, 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 like that. Try to translate that in your head, by thinking in French. More you think, more you will be able to express yourself without any problem using your target language. So those are some certain tips that I have already talked about. By the time we do the course, you will be able to get more tips, and then we'll be able to apply those tips in your successful journey. Right, now this course is already, organized by the admin team. It's SLIPICA. You already know that. This is for Sri Lankan people in Canada. So I assume that most of you are from Sri Lanka, and then even if you are not, you are warmly welcome. So this is especially for people from Sri Lanka, but from that, people around the world, those who are willing to learn French and those who are willing to be eligible for a PR in Canada. Then, yeah. Okay. So course details. Yeah, we will be having rapid course of 6 months. Then on Friday and Saturday night, you will be having sessions from 8:30 to 10, one session, and then 10 to 11:30 p.m. There will be another session. like if you feel like, okay, this time is not that much convenient for me, then you can have some other session for that. I mean, you can apply. I mean, there will be a form. The form will be sent by the admin team. Then you can click on this other option. Well, you will be having the sessions on Friday night and Saturday night. For week, there will be 3 hours, and then monthly there will be 12 hours for one session. Right. Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions so far, like from related to French and related to these exams or anything? Before I talk about the course details?
This 6-month course is for targeting B2 level or?
Yes, it is targeting B2 level.
Thank you.
As I told you, you need to commit yourself. Otherwise, this is going to be a hard journey. What matters whether you put your best effort in this 6-month course. This is like especially for a short period, rapid course. This is a rapid course of 6 months to target B2 level. But if you don't put your best effort, it will be quite challenging, to be frank. Any other questions related to exams?
Hi, in general, which exam is more easy than, like, is it TCF or TEF? I know it's not a like easy question to answer, but in general.
Well, that's a good question, but it's a bit tough to answer because it depends. Now, if I talk about, let's say, the structure of this one, okay? If I talk about this, maybe somebody is very good at doing 2 questions within few minutes. Like, I mean, writing question within 6 minutes. Maybe somebody is really good at doing that, but somebody else might not be that much good, and then they might need. I mean, whenever it's come for TCF, they will be good at doing 3 different activities within this period. Whenever it's for speaking, like yeah, discussions are different. Then obviously the way how you express yourself, and all this depends on what you learn and how much you can memorize, and then how much you can put your best effort. So to answer your question, well, I cannot say which one is easy. As I said, it depends on the way how you are expressing yourself, on the way how you are writing. It depends on your writing skills. So, but some people say the TCF exam is quite easy compared with TEF exam because the questions are quite repetitive, like just repeating some certain questions. But whenever it's come for listening TEF exam, like if I take the listening one, in TEF exam, you can see the listening question on the screen, whereas in the TCF question, you cannot see the question on the screen, right? So therefore, then you might not be able to, if you find difficult to understand the question, then you might struggle a bit. So there are like both good and bad, or maybe like, how do I say, there are both challenging parts in both exams, and maybe there are some easy ones. So by the time whenever you do the papers and whenever you practice for your exam, then you will understand, okay, this is easy for me and I am good at this. So with that, you can decide it. In general, some people say TCF exam is easier compared with TEF exam. Right. Any other questions? Let me check the questions. Yeah. Yes, I will be talking about the course fee. I'm checking the questions now. The questions that you have already sent. So I'll be talking about the course fee soon. Yeah, there's a question. Is this rapid course suited for beginners? Of course, this rapid course is starting from alphabet. So within 6 months, if you put your best effort, you can get the best. You can do your best. Right. So I'm checking the chat. I answered the question, which exam is easy in general, and okay, yeah. So there's a registration form. I will be talking about that. It's already given in the chat. I will be talking about that soon. Course fee, I'll be talking about that too. Rapid course, yes, rapid course is, there are people, those who have done rapid course and those who have got through within 6 to 8 months. Okay, how will be the class structure? A mass online class for participants with limited numbers, small groups? Yes. The admin will get back to you regarding that. So depending on the number of people that we have, we will be working on it. But I can assure that you will be given individual attention by making sure that we will have breakout rooms, or else we'll be giving you some time slots for you to practice speaking at the same time while you practice speaking with your partner. Yes, there's another question from Tushani. Doing TCF exam, can we apply for PR? Yes, yeah, you will be eligible for PR by getting through the exam TCF. Correct. Any other questions? Let me check. Okay, I just checked the chat. Any other questions? You can send messages, and or else you can ask me.
I have a question regarding the spellings. So for listening and reading, we have the MCQ, but when we are doing the writing, do they have in the exam, do we have the auto correction for spelling? Like for an example, for the CELPIP, when we are doing for English test, it has the auto correction when we have the spelling, like we did the incorrect spelling. So for the French also, do we have that?
Yeah, it is there, but it's best to practice your spelling at the same time. Pay attention to that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? You can send messages on chat if you want to get any questions, if you want to get clarified anything. Right. So if you have any further questions, you can contact admin team from SLPICA. Then I'll talk about the course details now. Course details. This is a course of rapid course of 6 months. So as I said earlier, you will be having these sessions Friday and Saturday night. So there will be 2 sessions, 8:30 to 10, one session, and then 10 to 11:30, another session. But we haven't decided, like let's say, for example, Friday night 2 sessions and Saturday night 2 sessions, but we haven't still decided whether to do one class within 3 sessions, I mean 3 hours at a stretch, or whether to take one session on Friday and another session on Saturday, which we haven't decided because we are waiting to get the forms to be filled. Depending on what you say, we'll be changing. That means either we will have one course on one day, Friday 3 hours at a stretch, or else Saturday 3 hours at a stretch, or else we might take Friday one session for one course and Saturday one session for one course at the same time. Basically, it means you might have the course 2 different days to cover all the 3 hours. I hope it makes sense. So depending on what your options you choose, we will decide how we are going to allocate time for the course. So anyhow, there will be 3 hours for the week. Some might like to do it at a stretch, or some might not like to do it at a stretch. Well, from my experience, some people say it's a bit hard to do 3 hours at a stretch, so they prefer to have 2 different days. I think that will be the ideal, or that will be really good idea if you are going to have the sessions separately. So I have given, and the admin team has given another option, because I offered that there will be some people, those who are not available for this time, but we are going to follow up on people, those who would like to have another time. Depending on my schedules, you will be able to get to know that from the admin team later. So monthly, there will be 12 hours. For that 12 hours, you will be learning about all grammar, sentences, writing, listening, speaking. I'll be starting listening from the beginning, from the very first lesson, listening and speaking from the very beginning, because sometimes we find they wait until like about few months and then do speaking and listening, which is not going to work. So you will be starting listening and speaking at the same time from the very beginning of the session. And from the very beginning of the course, you will be assigned a partner, online partner, to speak in French, to practice your speaking skills. Some have, like, after completing 6 months course, some have like questions like, oh, even though I know French, I find difficult to express, I find difficult to speak. For that, you will be individual time with the instructor. You will be given individual attention as well. Then cost free, you can do monthly payments. That's 120 Canadian dollars for monthly payment. You can do that. You don't need to make a full payment of the course. So as mentioned earlier, you can do monthly payment as well. With regard to that, you can speak to the admin team. If you wish to do course fee thoughtfully, you can do that as well. Well, how to get registered? Already the link is already sent on the form, is already shared in the chat. Then the admin team will work on student ID, and they will be creating on that. Then more information will be given by the admin team. So if you would like to join our team, if you would like to do the course within 6 months and be eligible for French and be eligible for PR in Canada, so the registration form is already sent. You can fill it. Please check on the time carefully. Try your best to get the time slots that we have given. But at the same time, if you wish to get another time, you can click on that too. Then, yeah, it might take a little bit of time to get this sorted, and then the admin team will get back to you regarding the time and the course. Course period is 6 months, obviously. Then time, the admin team will let you know. Any other questions? At the beginning, you might feel, okay, or maybe before you learn it, you might feel, oh, learning French, it's another language. Oh my gosh. I have been trying to, people might think I have been trying to learn English for a long time, but I found it difficult. But how can I learn French within 6 months? You might have that question in your mind. In most of the countries, including Sri Lanka, the way how we learn and teach a language is mostly different, because they focus only on writing and reading, and the focus for listening and speaking is not given priority. That is why people struggle in learning a language. So as I told you before, if you think about a kid, how a child is learning their native language, only by using listening and speaking. So if it took so many years for you to learn English, it's not because of your fault. It's not because that you are not capable of learning language. It's because the way how you have learned is wrong. That is why for many people, it took many years, maybe like 10 to 15 years to learn English. to speak in English. Then, but if you pay attention and then if you do the skills and if you practice, if you use the tips of learning a language properly, if you want to be fluent, you need to use those tips and learn the language. Then it would not take at least 6-8 months. No, probably no. What matters, whether you do the commitment and whether you do it in the right way. If you don't do it the correct way, obviously there is no success. Yes. Well, I have some other questions from your chat. TEF or TCF, which to choose? At the beginning, I discussed about that. So TEF is for Canadian citizenship and TCF is for PR in Canada. So at the same time, the structures of the exams are different. By the time you do the course, by the time when you do the questions, you will understand which to choose and which one you are good at. And depending on your purpose and depending on your skills, you will be able to choose these exams. That is to answer Chris. And then Hansini. Yes, she's asking whether any individual sessions are available. How much is the cost per session? Yes, individual sessions are available. For that, you need to contact admin team. Yes. Reach out and then you can mention it in your form. Any other questions?
Hello, excuse me, I'm Anuradha.
Yes.
Can I know that how we can book the exam and what is that arrangement for the after this course?
Yes, so that for that you have to call to the or go and check with the nearest Alliance Française. There's a center called Alliance Française, so you need to go to that place. Let's say Boncoeur. You need to go there and then get registered from that center. We don't do any registration for the courses. You have to do it on your own, depending on your available time. Do you have any questions or anything to check? I mean, any issues with or anything to check with the form? So the form is already sent. You can fill the form now if you wish to join. Meanwhile, you can ask questions.
Hello.
Yep.
Sorry, I couldn't continue from the beginning. I just want to know whether you are practicing exam that practice steps during the course.
At the end of the course, yes. But by the time, like meanwhile, while I'm teaching, there will be days that we'll be focusing on exam questions and practice for that as well. Obviously.
Excuse me, what is the commencement date of this course?
Friday night and the commencement of date. Yes, regarding that, the admin team will be getting back to you after checking all the forms. You will be informed about that. I assume we'll be starting very soon. End of June or July, I assume. Yes, not too sure. Please wait until the admin team get back to you regarding that. Yeah, you can do both exams. So answer question of Tushani, asking whether you have to do TEF or TCF. Yes, obviously you can do both exams, but different days and different timings. It doesn't matter. To get the experience, you can do. So we'll be starting within this month. So I just got a message from admin and then finalizing all the forms will be starting within this month. And we need to finalize all the requests as well. Well, another question from Ishan, how long will it take to reach A1 level and A2, B1 and B1, B2 level? So the target to get B2 level is within 6 months, at the end of 6 months. A1 level, of course, you can get within 1 month. The level, no matter how much I teach you, no matter how much I do, but if you don't put your effort, it will be hard to reach the level. If you put your best effort, without any doubt, you can get B2 level. So Isha, to answer your question, I cannot say, okay, within this month, okay, you really can do this level. But if you don't put effort, it's not a good answer from an instructor. So what matters whether you put your effort or not. So obviously 1 month, 2 months, you can get A2 level. For sure, without a doubt, within 3 months, you can get A2 level. Well, the course, this special courses will be focused on TEF or TCF. Yeah, basically both. This is language 1, language proficiency. So therefore, you can do any exam by completing this course. This will be focused on both exams. This is to answer the question of Venuka. Any other questions? Of course. Shri Christina is asking, are you providing any study materials and test bundles to practice at home? Yes, obviously study materials are provided. Of course, homework is given. So you have to practice a lot at home, apart from the time that I do during the session. Another good question from Hasit. How many hours we should allocate weekly, like an average time? For the course, you will be allocating 3 hours weekly. And it's really best if you can allocate another 3 hours apart from that time. Weekly, minimal time is 3 hours at least. So no matter if you are free, you can learn many hours. That's obviously okay. So I would suggest you to go for another 3 hours weekly and be productive if you do that 3 hours, okay? And you have to be productive. Okay. Well, the other point, you don't need to sit and learn the language. Sometimes you should do it. Apart from that, always try to add something for your daily routine. Let's say, for example, as soon as you wake up, whenever you are cooking, whenever you are cleaning, you can listen to radio. While you are driving, you can listen to radio in French. So if you have a friend who is learning French or who has done French, you can try speaking in French rather than you speaking in English. Then maybe take a list of 10 to 30 words per day and then practice those words. You study from the beginning and then throughout the day you revise. So, but if you wait until night to study, okay, I'm going to do a productive 3 hours at the night, sometimes it might not work. I would suggest you to start from the morning, change your daily routine, and then add those activities in your daily routine. Then you don't need to allocate another time only especially for that. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay, another question. Namodi, yes, thank you so much for the informative session. I missed the initial, but okay, yes. Well, actually, I'm Purnima Vitana. I'm a French teacher. I've been teaching French for like more than a decade. So currently, she's asking about my details. So yeah, I'm a qualified French teacher or instructor. Well, I did French in University of California for BA, and I did BA for that. Currently, I'm doing my PhD. I was trained by Cambridge Assessment International Education in UK, especially for teaching French. Then at the moment, I'm a member of Alliance Française de Côte, Colombo. You earlier call it Côte, now it's been changed again for Colombo. That's why I said Côte. And currently, I am a senior school French teacher in a world-class school. That's the one and only world-class school in Sri Lanka. So currently, I'm a senior school French teacher in that school. Apart from that, yeah, to talk about me, I love French and I love teaching French. And whenever I listen and whenever I talk to French people, I feel it's a singable language. It's like they're like singing whenever you listen to French people, and then whenever you hear people speaking French. So I love it. I love teaching French at the same time. Yeah, that is my French exposure. At the end of each level, do we have a test to understand? Yes. Ishan, to answer your question, at the end of each level, you will be able to do a test and then get your level. Or maybe there are like online tests that you can do the test online. You don't need to pay anything. Then you can understand your level. Or else you can do the DELF exams. There's something called DELF. It's different from TCF and TEF exams. So you can go to the nearest Alliance Française and then get the DELF exam done. Then you will be able to to understand your level where you are standing. Yeah. Okay.